What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the You Know Ball podcast. I am your host, Tro Bro Dude, and I apologize if I go slowly through this. I am sick right now, so I'm just going to try to get through this part so you can get to the episode. I just wanted to talk to you real quick up top about a few things, specifically our partners from Underdog Fantasy, the newest and best place to play fantasy sports and win big prizes. Right now, if you have not already signed up for Underdog using our promo code SLOP, that's SLOP, to get a $100 deposit match bonus. You can also win up to $500 in bonus cash from Underdog right now. The link is in the description. If you go down there, we're doing our Slop Season Contest. So between now and the NBA trade deadline, about a week before, you can guess where NBA players are going to get traded this trade deadline. And if you get a few correct, you can get points, and all of those will add up. And first place will get $500 in bonus cash. Second place will get $250, and third place will get $50. So link is in the description. Fill out the forms. Guess where Miles Turner and Fred VanVleet and some of the people that we talked about on this episode are going to be traded. If you want to see this whole episode, if you want to listen to this whole episode, please sign up for the You Know Ball Patreon. The link is in the description as well. And just for You Know Ball Patreon subscribers, this weekend on Friday, December 23rd, we have the Low Post Christmas special coming out. So if you want to hear that, Sam wrote and recorded it. It is the most deranged thing I've ever heard. It's absolutely hysterical. And it's Sam doing his own episode, Christmas style, of the Low Post. So please check that out. Link is in the description. You can sign up there to hear that episode as well. And last thing, if you're watching this on YouTube, please remember to like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, comment on the video if you have any thoughts, because that's how these videos get out to people and it pushes it through the algorithm. So if you want more people to see this, I would really, really appreciate it. Hope you enjoy your holidays. If you have any time off from work, I hope you enjoy it. Spend some time with your family and friends. Hopefully I'll be feeling better so I can do the same, and we will be back next week. Thanks. Very good point. Speaking of the Sixers, they played the Raptors the other night. And everyone has been losing their mind on NBA podcasts about specifically one player on the Raptors. Well, before we get into that, that Sixers-Raptors game took years off my life. The Raptors are the worst team to watch. They are a war crime of a basketball team.
Ridiculous.
Dude, it is so painfully bad to watch them try to score. First off, they won the fast break points. They killed us on second chance points. They were dominating us on the boards. They got to the line way more.
Free throw merchants, many are saying.
And they scored like 38 points in the first half. Like this current generation of the Raptors, I know that everyone's on the podcast and they're saying, we shouldn't blow it up, whatever. Where is this team going is my thing. Is like Scotty Barnes isn't as good as we thought he was going to be. Well, as other people thought he was going to be. We were
not me.
Yeah, I was going to say we were not fooled.
But like my whole thing is, I understand the Raptors' whole thing is competing and like being a relevant team and developing their guys, and that's a fine strategy to have. It's worked out pretty decently for them. But the thing is like what do you do with this team? I guess is my whole thing. And now Zach Lowe and Kevin O'Connor are going on their podcasts, and is Zach Lowe a federal agent for Canada or something?
I've been saying I've been saying this for like 2 years. He's very normal about 27 and a half teams. Yeah. And it's the Heat, the Raptors, and Jokic are like the three things he like can't talk about without it being weird. And he's done it again. Like he got marching orders. 4 first-round picks.
I think he just feels threatened by the Raptors fans.
I was gonna say he's maybe like he disclosed too much information about where in Long Island City he lives and came home.
No, he lives in the suburbs now. They got to find him in the Jersey suburbs. Yep. He said that on a podcast the other day. So.
Yeah, that's to try and throw Raptors fans off because they had snipers posted up on the Greenpoint, the Pulaski Bridge in Greenpoint to zero in on those Long Island City developments.
So I tweeted out a clip that was not from Zach's podcast. He says I don't want to be fair to Zach actually because this is insane.
Yeah.
But in the quote, he did say a Donovan Mitchell return of picks. He did not say, I mean, it could be like the Raptors might need to take on bad salary to make that work. And then you take a pick on top of that. And then OG's maybe worth 2 picks or whatever. But like, he didn't say like, cause like the Raptors or the Jazz got for Mitchell 4 picks, swaps.
And useful players.
They got useful players.
And
Sexton, Markkanen, Ochai Agbaji, who just went in the lottery. Like they got guys on top of that, which makes that like he didn't say a package on that level. And OG makes less than $20 million a year, so he wouldn't even need that much in terms of salary matching. But this idea that OG Anunoby, who's a very good player and is an extremely good defender and a valuable wing defender,
Is there a trade that would make you get a pick return of 4 picks and 3 swaps for OG Anunoby? Like just taking on Russell Westbrook or Tobias Harris?
Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah,
I would not trade Tobias for OG.
Yeah.
Mike wouldn't do it straight up.
Yeah.
Tobias is untouchable.
He means too much to the city now.
Yeah.
He beat the Raptors with 3 big threes, and there needs to be an investigation on why the third one was taken away.
We know what happened. But.
This is like the joke I was making about Embiid trying to save Doc's job. I think Tobias is actually doing that for Doc now. He's actually like trying to like save his job here, like late in the season.
Well, he's doing a great job because he's making all of his threes right now. We'll talk about Tobias in a little bit, but the OG thing is like, I actually think there are some teams that really could use OG. I've said before, I think he would fit on a ton of contenders. He's a 3-4 who can defend and shoot, although I think it is. So part of me thinks it's fair to question how good his shooting is.
Yeah.
Because his large sample of his career of shooting is like mostly above average. And then he has 2 seasons where he shot like crazy good. And in those 2 seasons, one of them was the COVID year when they were in Tampa, I believe. And then the other year, they didn't have fans, which was last year. They still didn't have fans for half a season. So that helps your shooting numbers.
That's also why they are struggling this year.
Because all of their shooters have regressed. Yeah. It's like they literally don't have a single shooter. I'm not even joking. They don't have a single shooter above league average from 3 right now. Fred VanVleet, who's been their best shooter, is below.
Is not above league average.
Well, he doesn't play the Sixers every night, but
it's hard to believe.
The second best 3-point shooter on their team right now is Pascal Siakam, to show you how bad the 3-point shooting is, and
least intimidating 38-point game of all time.
38 points that felt like. I felt like every single point that he scored in that game was like the hardest play that he ever had to make in his life.
I just did not care. Like, do it, do your thing, Pascal. Do it.
Yeah, I was just like, let him cook. But back to the OG thing is like, the thing about OG is, yes, he would help a lot of teams. How real is the shooting? Because I think he's a useful offensive player if the shot's really good. But my other point on this wanted to be, I think that there should be a little bit of a creator tax in terms of if you put OG on the Dallas Mavericks and he's playing off Luka, or even on the Sixers with James Harden, he's probably getting a lot more open threes. The Raptors have no one who can create open looks except for Pascal Siakam sometimes, and even some of his created 3 looks, they feel a lot like Ben Simmons-y to me, where like he's making the right pass and they're open, somewhat open, but by the time the guy has like, he's not generating wide open corner threes in the same way that these superstar guys can generate. And so part of me thinks that like, cause I've been like, I don't believe in Gary Trent Jr. I'm not a big Gary Trent Jr. guy, but like, look at his numbers. Like, put him on a team where he's getting a ton of open threes generated for him. That 3-point percentage is already pretty decent with the Raptors tax. That probably goes up. So my whole thing with this is like, if OG is a close to 40% 3-point shooter, and he's one of the three best wing defenders in the NBA or whatever it is, then yes, he is worth a lot. He's not worth that much, but he's worth a lot to a lot of teams. So it really comes down to is, do you believe that he is this really good shooter, or do you think he's more of an average shooter? And I would probably lean towards he's a really good volume shooter. Just get him off the Raptors and we'll see that.
Yeah. I mean, like, so his free throw rate has gone up pretty much every year. I know that's kind of, that happens more often, but like it's more of a college to the big leagues adjustment there. But like free throw rate 62, 58, and then 70, 78, 75, and now he's up to 82 this year. So that kind of bears out that like he's probably at least a league average shooter, and could probably be pretty good.
You mean his free throw percentage, not his free throw rate, right?
Sorry, free throw percentage.
Yeah, I was going to say, like free throw rate would also probably go up because he gets more on ball opportunities now, but he wouldn't on a really good team.
Right. No, that's actually kind of stayed the same. It is up to 26 this season, but I think that's more of an indictment of the Raptors offense than anything else. Yeah. But I think with OG, the thing is like, I think he, like, to be clear, I think he does have value, like, as a player. I think Zach just kind of went a little crazy for it, with it. I think a team could end up paying like 2 first-round picks and a good player to the Raptors for him. Like, that is more like what I would think the going rate would be. I just don't think Masai is going to do that. You know what I'm saying? I just like certain GMs, brain trusts, they move in certain ways. And I'm not really slandering Masai here. It's more just like I just don't think he's going to feel pressured by this situation. I don't think that there's a reason for him to sort of feel pressured by the situation and to doing, like doing what he needs to do. I think the Raptors are honestly more likely to buy than they are to sell, to be totally honest.
I don't think that. I think if anything, they would remain somewhat neutral. Get Gary Trent Jr. and look towards the future, or move Gary Trent Jr. and look towards the future. But
I don't think they're like when I say selling though. I mean when they trade Gary Trent Jr. I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna get a better player back than Gary Trent Jr. when they send him out.
Sure, maybe.
Like I think that is.
But as the I listened to the Pound the Rock podcast, and those guys are they cover the Raptors. And they're basically like a big problem with most of the Raptors trades that you make are when you solve one issue, you're creating another. So like, hey, let's trade Miles Turner, or let's trade Gary Trent Jr. in a first for Miles Turner or something, or Jakob Poeltl, let's say. Okay, great. We have a rim protecting center, and now we have less shooting and less ball handling. Yeah. So you're just always creating a new issue with this Raptors team, unless you're attaching real draft capital to guys, or you're trading Fred VanVleet for someone who, once again, he's had a bad shooting year, but I don't think his long track record has showed he's not this bad of a shooter. But like the OG thing, I think one of the things is like, yes, I've always talked about how valuable he would be on contenders, but most contenders have already made their move. Like, who's out there that just has 4 draft picks lying around other than like the New Orleans Pelicans, the Grizzlies, and Verno laughed that off on the mismatch, and he was right to. He's like, why am I giving up 4 first-round picks for a guy who's not one of the best 30 players in the NBA? Yeah. Even if he's a very valuable, good player, it doesn't make any sense for me to move all the draft capital, and especially with a team like Memphis, who drafts incredibly well and can actually get real value from those picks in the teens and the 20s.
Yeah, I mean the reason the Grizzlies don't do that is that they would have to pay a player money, so they don't want to.
No, but like you're joking about that, but like
I'm not.
Okay, yeah, I know that's the thing with the Grizzlies, but like my thing with that is then OG's value isn't as high as people think it is, because you have to pay him after next year. He's going to make $30 million a year after next year. That's just what the kind of players that like him, like Andrew Wiggins and Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby and those kind of guys get. Like he's going to make $30 million. So you're trading 4 first-round picks for him, whatever salary it takes to make it work, whatever. He doesn't make a ton, so that's easier. And then you're paying him $30 million a year after next year. It would have to be a team that thinks this year is the year or next year is the year, and they're pushing in all their chips on these next 2 years, and those teams just don't exist. They're teams like the Pelicans and the Grizzlies that are in small markets. They never go into the tax, and they're just not gonna pay them.
I think the thing that's alarming about OG is it's the Jeremy Grant thing. You know what I'm saying? Where like he wants a bigger role, but if he has a bigger role on a team, you're probably going to be bad. You know, so I think
or at least like middling,
right? Like he's gonna. So he might have to take the Jeremy Grant path where maybe he goes to a bad team, figures out, wow, this sucks, and then kind of has to go find the middle ground somewhere else, you know, like where his role is. I mean,
and he's and Jeremy Grant is a better creator than OG is probably best in that 3-and-D type role.
Yeah, I mean, we also thought that about Jeremy Grant though when he was coming out of the Nuggets. Like, to be fair, you never know what a guy is going to develop into. But I would say the main problem with the Raptors, back to your original point, is that you have 3 guys who have incredibly similar skill sets in Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, and OG Anunoby. And that's the problem, so you have to make a choice there. And nobody wants to make a choice there because you're like, the reason you're hearing all this OG Anunoby insane shit to pump up his value is because if you do trade him, when he actually does get traded, it probably won't be for fair value. You know what I'm saying? Like, because no team is actually giving up that package.
Right. It would be. I think it would be like a young prospect in 2 firsts, like that. Like a decent prospect. Like, for example, if New Orleans offered Dyson Daniels in 2 firsts, that kind of trade could work if they were ever willing to spend money, which, by the way, they're never going to. Which is why I don't think that New Orleans is going to be the team that makes that all-in push trade, because they should be targeting guys like OG and Miles Turner and whoever's out there. But they also have owners that have never gone into the tax, even when they had Anthony Davis and Chris Paul. I don't think they're going to just change their mind all of a sudden because OG Anunoby's available. I think come on.
I think the Thunder should do it. They won't, because Presti's a rat.
I feel like it's gonna be the Blazers.
Yeah,
the Blazers would be the one team
could do it. Yeah.
Okay, so what the Blazers could do is they could remove the protections that they have off the pick that they have already sent to Chicago. They'd have to negotiate that with Chicago, because right now they have a lot of
Chicago would love that, by the way, because those protections are they're scooting in and out. They're lottery save them a lot would headache. Yeah. If
and then you'd probably get a mid first round pick. You'd probably get a pick from 15 to 20. If you're Chicago, which would be lovely, because they're not going to have their own first round pick probably unless they decide to blow it up.
It might even get into the lottery if things break wrong for them.
Sure. I mean, it could be. And what team knows better than the Bulls that you can trading a pick halfway through the season can end up being really bad. It's tough. But I think that I agree with you, Mike. I think but it would be who would it be is the question. Because they turned down Josh Hart in the 7th pick over the offseason for him, and which turned out to be Shaedon Sharpe, which I don't know how you feel about Shaedon Sharpe, but he's probably going to be a pretty good player, and he's 19, and they'd probably have to give up Josh Hart in 2 firsts, and is that your all in?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd do it if I were them. I just feel hasn't Dame said in multiple interviews OG's be
he loves OG.
Although they could have done it last year.
That would be a pretty good starting 5 though.
It would,
because Jeremy Grant I mean, you. Oh God, yeah.
What if it's value the other way though? What if it's Simons going back and the
I don't think they would trade Simons.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
I don't think they would ever trade Simons at this point.
Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, if I were the Blazers, I would try to go all in. I'm not doing something crazy, but I'd probably be willing to include Sharpe.
So you go Sharpe, Josh Hart for a pick for OG,
because that gives you Dame, Simons, Anunoby, Grant, Nurkic that. With how wide open the West is, enough to win
the West. That's the thing is if you think Dame is back to Dame levels from before, which honestly all the stats and the impact metrics, and I've watched a few games, he's looked pretty fucking good. If you think that he's back to where he was before, you're at least sniffing the conference finals with them.
Yeah, I mean the West is wide open.
Yeah, and we've talked about that a lot. So maybe that's where you create your lane. I don't really know what the Raptors are going to want to do. I still think I'm resistant to the idea that they're going to just move any of their guys but Gary Trent Jr. because Masai's entire track record shows he doesn't do that with the guys that he really likes. But I also think that Kevin O'Connor and Zach Lowe are just doing. They're just carrying water. Like what?
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Like it's like he's and I love Drew, but Drew and Drew's way better than OG. But like it's kind of becoming like the Drew Holiday thing a few years ago, where like, and I know Drew got traded for a crazy package, but like he also helped the Bucks win a title.
That was like a special circumstance.
Sure, yeah, and like they didn't know Giannis was about to extend, and also on top of that,
that's what it was. It was a Giannis hostage situation. You know, that is. Yeah, that's the same reason why the Lakers gave up so much for Anthony Davis. It was a LeBron hostage situation. Sure. Like that's when these trades happen, and there's not. That's not happening in Toronto. What? There's a Pascal Siakam.
I meant where like they gave up all those picks for Drew, but like Drew became the third guy, the immediate upgrade over Bledsoe that put them into contention. Right. But like Drew is the kind of guy that I like Drew, but like people talk about him like he's perennial All-NBA and he's more like a borderline all-star. Like is what I'm trying to get at here is like OG's kind of become the new nerd favorite where like because he doesn't take anything off the table and he's a really good defender that he becomes this guy that is worth 4 first-round picks. And that is the thing is like it's almost like because he's been so underrated for so long in the same way that Drew was, that he's become a little bit overrated. I know I'm going the Bill Simmons route here, but
I think every single Raptor, this is a big bit aside. I think every single Raptor has become overrated.
Except for Gary Trent Jr., who they're now trying to say is the problem.
Gary Trent Jr. is good.
I think Pascal is probably rated now, but I agree with
Pascal. Did you say Pascal is the problem?
Yeah, Pascal
is properly rated.
Oh, properly rated.
Yeah,
okay.
I think he's overrated.
He's not a good creator, but like he is in a destructive offense. I think everybody.
How is Pascal fitting on like a championship team?
He already did.
He did.
That was a different Pascal. It was a different guy. Like he's not. He's a different guy.
I still think I'm back to like, all right, Pascal might be a little bit overhyped, but like because he's going to make all NBA again, probably. Like, I don't think he's quite that top 15 level player like people talk about him, but I do think that he could help a lot of teams. I personally he just annoys me. He's also like my least favorite player to watch. And I know it's funny because Joel Embiid's our best guy, but like,
bag.
Yeah, exactly. He just doesn't have a bag.
Yeah. Just pushes off.
Yeah.
Dude, that push off on PJ Tucker the other night, I was losing my mind.
He literally is kind of like small Giannis in a lot of ways. Like, so they like play very similarly, I feel like, where it's just, there's not a lot of, ball don't stop is just weeping. Like he's like a Ben Garrison cartoon, like off in the corner.
Dirtiest player in the league.
Ruined our playoff chances last year.
We should have gotten swept by the Celtics in the conference finals. Because of Pascal, we didn't. Thanks a lot, Pascal.
Yeah, we're itching just to get to that conference finals and get absolutely destroyed. That's our Super Bowl now.
That would have been an interesting series because I honestly think that would have gone 7-2. You guys were not worse than the Heat. Harden dog shit.
Harden was done.
Yeah, but the Heat, and also the Heat have a level of the Sixers that especially that Sixers team just quit at the second like anything went wrong.
We would have gone to Boston and lost 2 in Boston.
But the thing is, the Celtics had like medical grade yips at that point, which is why they were like losing to the Heat. That's why that Heat series went to 7 games. That Heat team is dog shit, as we are seeing right now. They're like the Celtics should have put them away early. Just going through Milwaukee is just such a fucking war, and then they have rat mode in their bag. So I don't know. I think it would have been different. But anyway, long story short, I don't know. I really don't see OG as. I'm trying to think of like a comparison of like a player. I really don't think he has like a ton of offensive upside as like a creator either. Like I see him as like,
I don't think so either, but I also think that like if OG Anunoby, if you could figure out a way,
Bridges, like
I think he's slightly better. Like I think that they're similar players. I think offensively Mikhail's a little bit better. Mm-hmm. I think defensively Anunoby's a little bit better, and also like. It's hard for me to say because I think that both guys require a lot of context.
Yeah.
And like we've seen Mikhail when he's been in a self-creating role, and it's also gone bad. Like, it's not anything against him. He's one of the best. He's like one of the best third options in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a little bit tough when he's asked to step it up a little bit in the same way it is for OG. But Mikal is also, we haven't really talked about this as much, but we've talked about it in the Discord a little bit. Mikal's a little bit overrated as a 3-point shooter. He's a really good mid-range shooter and finisher around the rim, like one of the best in the league. Like, he's one of the best 3-level secondary scorers in the NBA. But his 3-point rate, like, he doesn't shoot a ton of threes. And when he does, like, he's good at them. He's not like 42% on high volume. Like, he's a very good shooter, especially for his size. And he brings a lot to the table. But, like, I don't know. To me, it's close between OG and Mikal. I pretty much view them in the same tier of player. I think Wiggins is probably in that tier as well. And I think that Wiggins on the Warriors is kind of what you would hope, even if Wiggins gives you a little bit more off the dribble juice than OG. Defensively, I think OG might be a little bit better, and that's kind of the difference to me.
All right, hear me out. DeAndre Ayton, OG.
I've heard this before.
Really? Oh, I thought I was being a real pervert with that.
Well, I don't think the Raptors would do it, which is weird to say. But, like, I just don't think that they would do it because, yes, it would solve their center problem, and it would make them certainly
scoring a lot.
They like Ayton. Yeah, they like Ayton. But, like, he just got that huge contract. And, like, I don't know. I just think that having a valuable wing defender who can stay on the court offensively is, like, people said, like, what all of this comes back to and what every trade comes back to is that Rudy Gobert broke the NBA trade market.
Yeah.
Because Rudy Gobert went for all these picks, but, like, I talked about in the Discord, I was like, I'd rather literally just have OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, or Andrew Wiggins straight up over Rudy Gobert, regardless of contract.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, like, that's the thing is, like, the center position outside of the top two guys has been so, even I'll throw Bam in there, has been, I know Sam was throwing up in his mouth right now, but, like, has been so devalued to the point where it's like, you'd probably even take a wing defender who isn't one of the 25, 30 best players in the NBA over a guy who might be considered that just due to, like, how much it can change your playoff fortunes.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like, personally, I'd rather have, like, if I'm trying to win the championship, I'd rather have OG than, like, Sabonis, even though, like, Sabonis is, like, doing, like, what, 18, 12, and 6 right now or something like that? Like,
yeah.
So that's, like, you know, I think that's a good, well, like, Sabonis is a perfect example of this, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know, he's such a good player, but also there's just that nagging feeling in the back of your head that, like, you know, the other, like, the shoe is gonna drop in the playoffs.
Exactly.
How are you building a team with Sabonis and winning a championship with that team?
You're not.
It's not.
It's just like, unless you have literally the perfect situation, which is not what Sacramento has the ability to. But they also don't care about that. Like,
it's got to get to playoffs.
Yeah. So I just want to say, I had I tweeted the clip from the mismatch. Chris Vernon actually replied to some Raptors fan that
brave guy.
Let's go.
So I tweeted the clip about OG, and I said all-time fight on the mismatch over OG and Anunoby, with KOC really going to bat for him. And honestly, I thought Vernon was right. He was like, "This is ridiculous." Chad moment from Vernon.
He called out Lowe for this same shit when he was on Low Post, and he was talking about, like, the Raptors.
You love the Raptors,
yeah. He was like, "Come on!" Like, he was doing the same. I love Vernon.
It doesn't matter. He hasn't made All-Star teams.
When Vernon's not talking about the Grizzlies, Chad moment at all times.
So the Raptors fan said, just realized a lot of fan bases aren't serious about winning titles. By the way, the Kawhi trade just broke every Raptors fan.
4 years ago, man. Get over it.
And it was also a historical outlier that will never happen again. Let's just put it like that.
Get over it.
And then he said, so just realized a lot of fan bases aren't about winning titles. Go stay in the middle and enjoy the gritty dance and tag Vernon. And then a Pacers fan that follows me.
These aren't even in the middle.
Yeah. You're in the middle.
They
you
were
in
the
the 16 last year. What are you talking
the
about?
bottom of the middle.
Yeah.
And Pacers fan who follows me said, because you don't want to give up 4 firsts for a role player, you aren't serious about winning titles. And then Chris Vernon responded and said, nothing is funnier than the only people that disagree are Raptors fans. It's true though. It's like everyone realizes that like, look, you might be able to talk me into 3 firsts for a guy like OG only in the circumstance that it's like the picks that the Knicks got on draft night for the 11th pick, where they're all either from good teams or they're pretty heavily protected. Like I'm not. I just think like
a perfect situation where some team with a lot of picks that is like one OG away goes all in.
It's literally
it doesn't exist.
It is. Well, the 2 teams that are those teams are. I mean, maybe you could argue the Suns, but like. I don't know. I don't think that OG really solves all of their issues. Maybe it just I don't see that. The Grizzlies and the Pelicans are the 2 teams I could see it with, and they have an abundance of picks, but they're just never going to spend it, so it's not even worth talking about. But let's move on from this because I want to get this part in before we go to the Patreon part of the episode. So the Sixers, they're playing the Pistons tonight. So I said the other night I thought they were going to lose to the Raptors because we were talking about how I was like, oh, they're playing really well, and they end up winning the war that against the Raptors that fucking took years off my life. But they've been looking much better recently, and Tobias Harris is having his redemption arc right now. So Mike, you've deemed Tobias untouchable, right? No trades for Tobias.
There's no one I'm trading Tobias for. He's the best player in the league right now.
So he's if the best fit. So LeBron, no Tobias for LeBron.
LeBron is not buying into his role like Tobias.
It's true. It's a good point.
Tobias, by the way, just some advice, buddy. Distance yourself from crumble cookies.
Yeah, not looking good.
It's okay. He's innocent. He's innocent.
Yeah. Tobias didn't know about the child labor, guys.
Yeah, how is he supposed to know? He's an NBA player.
He
just likes the cookies.
Panasonic Matt, who comes on the podcast regularly, tweeted and said, "What does Tobias Harris know?" And I was like, Matt, I know you haven't been watching the games recently, but Tobias is too important to us now.
Yeah, we can't be. We got to protect Tobias. We got.
You want to be stuck with PJ Tucker? Come on, this is Tobias.
PJ Tucker takes the fall for Tobias. He will have to take the fall. That's why we gave you an extra year.
That was part of the deal. You take the fall for anything that happens. So,
we thought it was going to be Maury with crypto, but it ends up being Tobias and crumble cookies.
So it's actually funny. If you look at Tobias's stats, the amazing thing about Tobias is that you can look at his stats from any given year and be like, oh, he was terrible this year. And they're like mostly the same. Like Tobias is always like, oh, remember the year and a half he was good? And it's like, yeah, they're literally always the same.
Together.
Yeah, it's like he shoots like close to 50% from the field, close to 40% from 3. But this year is obviously different because he has actually adjusted to the role that we always saw him in. And he really made 7 of 8 threes the other night, I believe, or 6 of 8 threes against the Raptors, including 3 huge ones down the stretch. And after the game called himself, a sharpshooter. There is an energy to him buying into this role. He's attacking closeouts with a different energy. He's keeping the ball moving. He's really trying on defense. He's been guarding all different kinds of players on other teams. And I really feel like this is what we always wanted from Tobias. And I'm trying not to jinx it. Obviously, everyone's going to look better when they're shooting 42% from 3 on like decent volume. He's shooting 5.5 threes a game. He's making 42% of them. Even if that dips, though, like the one thing I've taken from the Sixers' recent winning streak is I actually care less about the results and more just about like they actually look like a real team now. Like the first month and a half of the season, it was like, all right, well, hope Joel scores 70 points or we're going to lose. And now it's like Harden's actually passing the ball. We're getting the ball movement going. The shooters are understanding their role other than, PJ is going to be what he is offensively. But like, it feels like this is the first time that I felt like they could even survive a game where DeAnthony Melton shoots like 1 for 9 from 3 because he's just going to keep shooting and he hit a big 3 down the stretch. This team, I'm hoping what happens is I don't think the defense is sustainable because the shooting from other teams has just been piss fucking poor in the last few games. Actually, the whole season, I think they have had really good shooting luck. But my hope is that Maxey being thrown back into the lineup won't crumble the defense, and it can make them kind of find their stride. And because they need to get one of those top 3 seeds if they want to win multiple playoff series or even one really. Like you got to be up there with those teams. So I this is the first time that even though I still want them to beat a good team, even if they beat the Knicks on Christmas and the Knicks have been playing really well recently, like I would take that. Like I'm just cared more, or the Clippers if they're healthy on Friday. Like I care way more about the process than I do about the results. And the process has been sound. They've been really good on both ends.
Yeah, like I said, Tobias has completely changed his game, which I never imagined he could do it because we've been begging him to do it for 4 years, however many years. And we saw a little bit of it in the playoffs last year, and then in the Heat series, he kind of reverted back.
Yep.
And then he's just come out this year, and you got to give him a ton of credit because he's 30 years old. He's completely changed his game. He's embraced being a role player. And it's been huge, just pulling up. I think every Tobias 3 is going in.
It's crazy.
Especially the ones where he just catches and shoots really quickly. Never seen that before, ever.
Yeah.
And
he's deadly from the corners
right now. It makes his when he drives in the paint, it makes that game a lot more dangerous because in the past what he likes to do a lot.
Sure.
You know, he wants to drive into the paint, and it wasn't because no one really expects him to be a spot up shooter.
Yeah.
So now teams have to close out hard on him, and he's making him pay.
Yep. And more importantly, teams don't expect him to pass. Teams don't expect him to do anything that he's not doing the thing where he's resetting the possession all the time. He's making those quick decisions, and you hope that him kind of fitting into this role is sustainable. You know, we've seen stretches, like you said, last year when we first got Harden. It did regress a little bit in the playoffs, but I also want to give Tobias the benefit of the doubt there, just because Harden wasn't Harden.
Yeah,
and like
Embiid was hurt.
And Embiid was hurt. Like everything on this team comes down to how good Harden is and how good Embiid is. And if those two aren't quite right, then I'm not even going to care that much about the spot up shooters and whatever, unless they're missing all of their threes. So I just think that this is, and look, I don't think he's quite on the level as those 3-and-D guys we just discussed. I think his impact defensively will just never be as important as Andrew Wiggins and Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, but it is similar in the role adjustment for on-ball guy who is, an efficient scorer, but couldn't really do much else. Was a ball stopper, didn't always play within the team system, didn't keep, the ball moving and kind of have the flow of the offense. It's kind of similar to the Wiggins situation where everyone was like, he's the worst contract in the NBA. And now he's still a bad contract, but if he's buying into his role, there's people can't even tweet trades at me anymore because there's no trade in which we get rid of Tobias Harris and it makes the team any better. If this is the version of Tobias Harris we will get, even if his shooting dips a little bit, as long as all of the process things are still there, there's no way that we can trade him and eat in a Porzingis style deal, which was the idea behind trading him before. And he's making me eat my words. Earlier in the season, I was like, it just feels like kind of the same old Tobias. He's kind of regressed in some ways. He's, I feel like he's more of a net neutral than anything else. And this is a positive impact player. And I'm happy to see it. I always have rooted for Tobias as a guy. He's never showed up on the court the way that he has recently.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been a big Tobias guy, as you know. We've gotten in a lot of debates about Tobias. I've always said this guy is
compare his contract to 9/11 on the last time you were on.
No, I didn't do that. That was not me.
It's a fake Mike. A deep fake Chiodo.
Yeah, exactly. I've always been a big Tobias guy. You can check my tweets from when we first traded for him.
Exactly.
I
was so excited. This is the move, baby. This puts us over the top.
No, but what's going to happen now is Morey's going to trade him.
Oh my God.
What I said in the last pod is that I've been dreaming about a Tobias trade for 4 years, and then he's actually going to get traded, and I'm going to be upset. That's what's going to happen.
Can you imagine who the return is for, too?
It's going to be something.
What if it was Kuzma and Barton?
Oh, Kuzma's my guy. I need.
Yeah,
Kuzma.
I know. Yeah.
Kuzma, I would trade everything for Kuzma.
I know. He's a winner. He's your boy.
Kuzma is such a winner, man.
Yeah.
That guy is a winner, and he's from here too, which many people don't know. He spent a year at Abington Friends, I believe.
What?
Yeah.
Kuzma went to Abington Friends?
Senior year. He came here from Colorado or something. I'm checking it again.
Wow.
They said it on the Sixers-Lakers game in 2018.
Wow. I feel like I vaguely remember this. Yeah. That is
Rise Academy. Rise Academy in Philadelphia.
That's amazing.
So
Wow, Kuzma from here, one of our own. So yeah, we have to trade for that.
Yeah,
so
I'll miss Tyrese will be great in Washington.
I was good. Enough.
Kidding.
Enough of that. That's enough to get you banned. But that is it's funny because like people keep talking about like if the Wizards are kind of their hand is a little bit forced and they have to trade Kuzma. The Kuzma and Barton trade for Tobias was the one that I thought of, mostly because what's that?
I do that in a second. I love Tobias. I appreciate your service.
Yeah. Well, Barton isn't good. It would basically just be Kuzma for.
I need Kuzma. I need Kuzma.
So,
I said last year I trade Ben for Kuzma. That aged pretty well, didn't it?
Yeah, I think most teams would rather have Kuzma than Ben right now.
People acted like I was insane.
Yeah, you were just ahead of your time. They didn't know.
I was.
Yeah, they doubted you.
I was ahead of my time on all the Ben trades. Like people I said I trade Ben for. I tweeted the second game of the season last year as like kind of a joke. I trade Ben for Herb Jones.
Similar level players now.
I tweeted. I was going through my old tweet. I was looking for an old tweet like a month ago, and it was October 27, 2021. I trade Ben for Herb Jones.
Wow, a prophet. Well, Herb Jones is also your boy, but yeah,
Herb Jones has been my boy since Alabama.
Yeah, you trade Ben for Jeremy Grant, Malcolm Brogdon, and Karis LeVert. Which honestly, none of these trades look that bad now. Kuzma.
I actually didn't like the Brogdon trade.
Oh, that was the one you didn't.
It's kind of a win for me because Brogdon, his value is going down.
Well, yeah, trade value. Yeah, he's been good for the Celtics though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam's like, I need to chirp in here.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was monitoring this for
Karis LeVert. Unfortunately,
yeah, Karis LeVert not as much, but yeah, no, Brogdon is shooting 46% from three for the Celtics this year. Jesus Christ.
Well, not in the last 5 games.
Well, no one is for the Celtics right now. But all right, so
they're disappointed in Jason Tatum for going to his son's birthday.
Exactly. I just think that's a guy.
He doesn't care.
If I'm the Celtics, I'm moving on from Jason.
Yeah, honestly, it shows me what kind of player he
is. We need a winner like Tobias. Yeah,
Tobias would never miss a game.
Yeah,
let's call it in. Yeah,
Tobias played with the flu 2 weeks ago, or else.
By the way, there was a stat I just saw. You know who has the second most minutes per game in the NBA the last 4 years? Tobias Harris. Don't ask me who was first.
Tobias
should trade Tatum for Harris.
Yeah. Fred Van Fleet. I think Fred Van Fleet was.
It's Tatum.
It's Tatum. It's Tatum. He's like an Iron Man. Yeah.
Jesus. Well, I knew that Tobias led the league in minutes 1 year, and I remember like 2 years ago, and I was like, "What?"
Well, because
that's part of the reason
Harden's playing 40 minutes a game.
Yeah,
that's part of the reason the Tatum thing is so funny is because he just like literally never misses games, and it's like, wow, he missed a home game against the Magic, and you couldn't win. Like, yeah,
I gotta be honest. I'm thinking about what would happen. What would happen in Philadelphia if Embiid missed a home game for his son's birthday party?
Oh my God!
People would lose their mind.
God, Philly sports talk radio.
It's the same city. It's just like a little different. You know what I'm saying? So it's exactly what happened here. It's talk radio went insane over it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so this is the end of the free portion. We're going to talk about James Harden going back to the Houston Rockets rumors during the Patreon section, and then a bunch of other stuff. So if you want to hear that, including Sam eating his own preseason take about one player, you got to subscribe to the Patreon. The link is in the description. Check it out.
I'm gonna have to apologize about John. Well, we'll save it for the thing. This is not me.
We know that's never coming.
Yeah.